gone are the days, the complaints was monitored through XLS and ticking who has sent it, who has not sent it and all. No. The RBI wants traceability for every action that is initiated by the bank for monitoring the regulatory compliance. So, we were the first one to adopt AI, which is an emerging technology. What we decided is that why not we use AI to download the regulatory communications from the different portals of the regulator and bring it or give it to the banking entity which wants to ensure that the compliance is as per regulator. We carefully analyzed the RBI guidelines on this, and RBI wanted a repository to be created. So we decided, okay, why instead of calling it as repository, we will call it as RC Universe, Regulatory Communication Universe. These are all unique features which were built in the product actually.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Thought Feed Season 2. In our earlier conversation, we had DR sir speaking about Komply360. Today, we'll take things a little slowly and try to break down what Komply360 actually is, so that our viewers who are also from banking sector and from non-banking sectors may easily understand what the product does. So without much ado, let's dive into knowing what Komply360 is. Hello dear sir, how are you today?
Hello, very glad to meet you again, Yamini.
Yes, same pleasure is mine, sir. So today we'll gradually move and understand what Komply360 is, sir. So if it's possible for you to simplify for somebody who's watching a video for the first time, how should that person understand Komply360 as? And then gradually you can tell us what was the need to come up with this product.
Thank you. The biggest challenge that are being faced by the banking and financial institution today in our country is ensuring that they comply with the regulations by various regulators, but at the same time keeping up with the growth pace of the country. Country is growing at a fastest pace. So, banks are confronted with the huge transactions.
Right.
And while doing that, they have to also ensure that all the transactions are in line with the various regulations defined by the regulators.
Correct.
So, we thought that we have to create a unique solution. That solution is Komply360. If I have to just define Komply360 in one sentence, it is an open source solution specially created for BFSI entities and also mainly for regulatory compliance of different regulators. So, this is in one word I can say. And what happens is that moment I say regulators, then the configurability comes. The bank should be able to configure the product according to different regulators. And also different regulations coming from them are processed in one platform. That is the
regulators mean RBI and SEBI and all that.
Regulator I mean here is, of course, in our country there are plethora of regulators. Now RBI, you have SEBI, you have IRDA, you have Ministry of Finance, you have state government level regulators. For cooperative banks, you have Register of Cooperative Societies. I mean, you are for companies, there is ROC, Register of Companies. Now, you name, there are regulations. And each one comes with their own set of regulations, all directed towards banking and the financial sector, and they have to comply with. But these regulations are not only one way. It's not that, they send regulation and, have you done it, and that's not like. They also do inspection. And during the inspection, they find a lot of gaps in the following up, and the banks are complying with the regulations. So, typically, mostly the regulator, RBI is the major regulator for banking and financial sector. They want the banks to adopt it to one single system, end to end.
Correct.
That means enterprise class. So, the second definition of Komply360 is it is enterprise class.
Okay.
So you may ask, what is enterprise, sir? What a
Right.
common man will understand. What does it mean by enterprise class? The enterprise class, contains a set of masters. You have to go and create a set of master records. In the banking environment, we have to create branch master, employee master, like the different masters. Then the various regulations are to be processed. So it moves from one desk to another desk in a banking environment workflow.
Right.
So it should be processed. And what is this current status of any regulation, you should be able to show is to the top executive of the management, because they are concerned about the end output or the output only, end result of a complaint. They
Even
don't
the
worry.
compliance officer should.
Ultimately, compliance officer is expected to give a report to the board. So
Right.
he needs a current status of various regulations that are being handled in the bank, etc. So you need reports. So the enterprise class should contain all these things. But that is not the only challenge. The challenge is, how do you design an enterprise class when the banking system itself is having different levels of hierarchy. We have a small bank like a local area bank, hardly head office and the branch. So they don't have any hierarchy actually. Or we have big bank like SBI, where there are 5 or maybe 6 levels of hierarchy. They have head office, they have LHO, then they have regional office, zonal office, like that. So the same software platform, Komply360, handles different levels of hierarchy and also handles almost thousands of branches can be brought under our product.
Okay.
This is what we call as enterprise class.
Right.
It is not a tool. You can cover the last man standing between the compliance and the compliance reporting and can be brought under this particular product. So that is what we call the product adopts to the hierarchy of the banking entity where it is there. Yet another definition of a typical enterprise class like core banking or manufacturing, that ERP, they are able to implement it in any bank. How? Because lot of things are parameterized and a lot of things are configurable by the licensee or the company or bank that buys the core banking software. Same way, because it is enterprise class, there is a configurability, there is a flexibility, and there is dashboard, there are home page, user chat. These are all typical of any enterprise class product, also is there in the system. So in one word, Komply360 is an enterprise class open source software solution for regulatory management for BFSI sector.
So you mean even small banks which don't have hierarchies can use this?
Exactly, that's the beauty, and in no time we can implement it and they will be very happy.
Oh.
So that is what, in other words, we are saying Komply360 for the country as a whole. For any entity which has to report compliance, if they adopt, it will be a single system for the compliance as a whole. Right. One system, one regulation, one Komply360.
So you mentioned enterprise class. So can you tell us how and why it is important to have enterprise class today? Yeah, that's a very good question. See, gone are the days, the complaints was monitored through XLS and ticking who has sent it, who has not sent it and all. No. The RBI wants traceability for every action that is initiated by the bank for monitoring the regulatory compliance. Now, that is possible only if there is an end-to-end solution, right from the time a complaint is received and entered in the system till it is treated as closed. That means all the regulations that are to be complied are complied with respect to that communication. So there should be an end-to-end handling of a regulatory complaints, but the handling is done spatially, that means across the bank, and also functionally for different departments handling different functions will handle different regulations relating to them. That is possible only if there is an enterprise class. It can, otherwise it will become silos. Each one will follow their own method relating to their own department or function. There is more uniformity.
Then there won't be, the consolidation will be the biggest challenge, and any inspector or auditor who comes, they won't be able to have a single view of the whole or a holistic view of the compliance status in the bank. So that's why this is required.
Right. So this will give them that unified,
Yeah,
view of
Uni-
what entirely the Komply360 is handling.
yeah,
Right.
unified single truth.
Unified single truth. Okay. So this makes me more curious to ask you as how is Komply360 different from the existing Komply products in the market?
We did some scanning of market condition at that time. Most of the products are confining to RBI circulars being given to the bank, and also helping them to report a complaints regarding that. So there was a manual, lot of manual work involved in this kind of getting the RBI circular and making it into complaint units or obligations, and also making the bank to report complaints, etc. A lot of manual work. So we
This is
decided
despite having of the product
of the
available.
product.
Okay.
They see what happened. These competition at that point. Now something is happening, but when we planned this product months ago, they were not keen to adopt AI. So
Okay.
we were the first one to adopt AI, which is an emerging technology. What we decided is that why not we use AI to download the regulatory communications from the different portals of the regulator,
Okay.
and bring it or give it to the banking entity which wants to ensure that the compliance is as per regulator. That was a big idea, and we carefully analyzed the RBI guidelines on this, and RBI wanted a repository to be created.
Okay.
So we decided, okay, why instead of calling it as repository, we will call it as a RC universe, regulatory communication universe. So universe means what? Typically everything should be there.
Everything should be there. Right?
So we deployed AI, and also the AI will go to different URLs of the regulator, download, neatly stack the circulars year wise, date wise, etc., and also send the communication and the notification to the respective user who has been earmarked for taking action on the particular communication. Not only that, AI was also breaking down the regulatory communication into small obligation statements, meaning what are the actions you have to take on that.
Right.
This reduced the manual work greatly, and we know that banks generally will be hesitant to go or take action based on what AI is giving. So we felt no, we need to bring a subject matter expert to validate what the AI is giving, and only after such a validation it should be taken for processing. So
Right.
this is so these are all unique features which were built in the product actually. That's what
Right.
I wanted to tell. It's different from what the competition is having at this point in time.
Okay.
And then what we felt is that if it is an enterprise class, there should be an EOD and BOD, that is beginning of day operations and end of day processing or operations,
Right.
which should be run automatically, and the administrator of the bank who is administrating our product, because remember, any enterprise class product you need an administrator.
Correct.
It is not like an XLS or something, somebody monitoring. You need a very powerful administrator to administer, because the entity involved may be a large entity or a small entity, as I was telling you.
Right.
So the administrator and look at the processes and see what is working, what is not working, if it has stopped, why it has stopped, and all. These are all basically for various internal housekeeping, updating, and showing the latest status, etc., etc. So this was a very unique. The EOD BOD process is very unique to our product only. Banks will like it because they are known to EOD BOD process in the core banking environment.
Right.
Then what happens is that the configurability of the regulator and the various department, that is also very unique to ourselves. Any banking entity can add a regulator and various departments on the fly, and also bring the communication from such a regulator to the processing table. So this is one very unique feature that you can say. And of course, there are other features like workflow is there, and then we have a mobile app for the executives who can view the current status of various regulatory communications, up to what extent they are complied with. No, very interesting thing is executive not only will be able to view the status through mobile app, he will be able to talk to the defaulting branch manager and ask him, hey, why are you keeping it pending? It is very critical. So you please take action immediately and send it immediately. Just imagine a branch manager getting a call from chairman or ED of the bank asking for the status of the complaint, which is not possible in the current system, which is not possible in the competitor product. It is possible only in our product because we are connecting the top management to the last man standing directly.
Does it give a notification as such that something is pending?
Yeah, it will highlight and then it shows what is compliant, what is pending, who is keeping it pending, how long it is pending. Every statistical information is shown in the dashboard. That is the beauty of the product. That way our product is totally different from competitive products.
So, I would like to delve more on the features, sir. If you could just list out one by one so that we understand the product even better.
Yeah, quite. As you initially mentioned, I will mention the process cycle in our product. It is called how do you manage the regulation in the product? That's the question now. How do you do it? When I explain it, you will know the various features of the product itself. Now, let us talk about, I told it is an enterprise class. So, there should be input entry. What is the input for us? It is a regulation. So, as I told you, regulations are extracted by the AI from various portals and it is entering the system for processing. We also have a facility of the user to directly upload because not all regulations will come through portal. Many regulations will come directly to the bank, addressed to the chairman of the bank. So, there is a facility should put it in the system to do processing. So, we have that. What happens is that as I was telling, you cannot simply send a 50-page or 75-page circular down the line and say, have you complied with? They will not understand. Because one communication will contain multiple obligation statement and some will go to branches, some will go to offices at various departments in the offices. Some may go to even secretariat regarding reporting on a particular date. So, there are various stakeholders for reporting a complaint. So, these obligation statements are sent to the different stakeholders. How it is sent? Obligation statements are given by AI. Subject matter expert is reviewing it and then editing it in a language which the complying person understands it because he will not understand the terminology of so he has to understand, and then it has a lot of attributes like what is the time priority, what is the risk priority.
Can you give us an example here, like what could be one obligation as an example?
Yeah, some of 2-3 obligations I wanted to give you. One is a very simple obligation. Banks are required to open a separate cell, SCST cell in head office. This is one regulation. So, this obligation, it is in a circular, this is a obligation statement. So, what it means, every bank should set up a SCST cell in their head office. So, this obligation will go to the credit department. Normally, credit department only handle credit to SCST. So, they have to set up a cell, meaning what? They have to create a space and put one manager in charge of the cell and report to RBI that we have created a SCST cell for in our bank. This all. But this has to be monitored. So, this is one simple statement. I tell you most complex ongoing obligation statement. Banks are required to follow strictly KYC norms when onboarding a customer. This is not one-time exercise. This is an ongoing exercise. Because banks are every day opening accounts.
Whenever new customer comes, you need to update it.
So, this is a regulation which will go to all branches. But periodically it is to be monitored that the KYC norms are complied, adhered to. This is the second statement. Third statement, what we call event driven. There has to be an event which triggers a compliance. For example, when banks are giving loans to large borrowers exceeding say 1 crore, they have to mandatorily take personal guarantees of directors and they have to renew the guarantee every time they renew the loan. So, this is another statement. But this statement can be complied by the bank only whenever they grant a 1 crore loan to a borrower, right? So it is event. Granting a 1 crore loan is an event. When the event is triggered, this complaint should be adhered to, and RBI comes, RBI will check whether the bank is following this complaints in respect of all large borrowing accounts. They will say, give me a list of large borrowing accounts, confirm that you have got guarantee for these accounts.
Okay.
Instead of RBI asking it, my system will ask the bank, do you have all large borrowing accounts?
Right.
Have you taken the guarantee from the directors? If it is yes, this complaints will be treated as complaint. And it is not. It is repeated every time whenever a new loan is granted by the bank. So that is the beauty of our product, which a competition doesn't have. No competition has got it.
So there is no scope of missing out on any aspect of it.
No scope. We are covering all aspects. Some immediate. I told you, like SCST sell for creditor to that.
Yes.
The other one is I told you KYC norms, which is an ongoing.
Right.
The other one is called event driven. Whenever there is an event, so we are covering multiple types of compliance. Each one is handled in our system.
Right.
That's the very beauty of the product. Okay. Now there is a process. The obligation goes to the person who is to take action, and he is taking action. There will be immediate response. There will be due date based response. Then there will be periodical response. Understand my point? Immediate, due date, periodical. So it will come back again for him. Monthly, every month you have to report. So KYC kind of thing, every month bank has to report. We have followed the KYC norms for all accounts opened during the month. This is periodical.
Right.
So, or we have taken guarantee from directors for all loans that is to be granted during the month. What happens is, these large borrowing accounts are always confined to only 1 or 2 branches. This communication need not go to all branches.
Okay.
This will go to where KYC norms related complaints will go to all branches.
Okay.
So every branch is involved in opening customer account. But LBA, large borrowing accounts related complaints, will go to only branches giving large borrowing loans. Because not all branches are allowed to give loans.
Okay.
This is the beauty of the banking system. How they do business now, the same way our product helps them to manage the compliance.
Sounds
this is the
extremely
beauty
effective,
of the product. It is, you won't find it. You can, for example, any gold loan. So suddenly another typical example I tell you. Branches are acquired to give gold loan up to 2 lakhs. Let us say. Now the limit is now revised to 3 lakhs.
Okay.
Now this communication will go to only gold loan granting branches, not all branches. But not all branches, even in cities or even in rural, are permitted to give loan, because you need a strong room. You have to keep the jewel loan very safely. Considering the gold rate, it is going up. You have to be more. The bank should be more careful about storing the jewelry which has been given for loan than the person who is getting the loan. So these are all very things. So not all branches are given. It is only branches. Targeted compliance monitoring. It's a beauty of our product. This is also coming under how we manage the regulations.
Like actually. You said, the category wise, which bank it has to go, where it is to
go. When these units which are receiving this communication, when they report, the status of it is updated instantaneously and the status is flashed to the top executive. So when the top executive views the status through mobile or through dashboard in the web app, he will always see the latest information, which is not there in competitive product. Facility for the top management or various stakeholders monitoring the complaint status to view the status in the real-time basis is the very, very unique functionality of our product.
Right.
So it covers entire thing, right from the circular entering, processing, going to targeted segment, they reporting complaints, various types of complaints is handled, like one time, ongoing and event driven. I told you that example.
Correct.
And all are reported, status reporting, and status reporting is monitored by the different stakeholders in the head office and the top executives through mobile app or web app. This is the whole process cycle that we are handling in the product.
Amazing, sir.